in freaking Jerusalem.
So yeah, I just got back from Israel. I went with Birthright, so for people who don't know, every young Jew age 18 to 26, I believe, gets a free trip to Israel just for being Jewish. The idea is that by being born Jewish, we have this right of birth to be able to go see our homeland. It was pretty cool. I mean, we did some pretty amazing things. We went, we're floating in the Dead Sea, hiking to a natural oasis, lots of beautiful hikes, all kinds of great hikes. We went to some Israeli nightclubs. We camped in a Bedouin tent overnight. Side note, if you're going to the Bedouin tents, you should bring money because they make awesome shorts. We went to the Holocaust Memorial and the military cemetery. We saw Independence Hall. It was full of amazing things. The trip is paid for by an organization called Taglit Birthright Israel, and I have here my pre-trip information and travel companion. Taglit Birthright Israel is taking you on this journey. But who is Taglit Birthright Israel? Who are these strange people who've invested their money and tremendous effort in giving you a free trip to Israel? So while I was there, I spent some time trying to figure out what they actually wanted from us. They say they want us to develop our Jewish connections and everything like that and experience our homeland and everything. And that's fantastic and amazing, and I believe them. But best I could figure, they had 3 separate goals for bringing us there. Number 1 was just what they said, to make us feel a deeper connection to Israel, to make us feel like Israel's their home. The second one was, I do think they want us to move to Israel. And the third one is, I think, to preserve the Jewish bloodline. And by that, of course, I mean them trying to get us all to hook up with each other. So we're traveling in groups, right? And there was 39 of us in my group, all young Canadians from Toronto and Winnipeg. And the first night, they sit us all down, we sit in a big circle, and we all go around the circle and say our name, our age, our expectations for the trip, and our relationship status. And then, second night, I believe, we played a game. It was like a 2 truths and a lie game where people have to answer questions about themselves and people guess if they're lying or telling the truth. And all of the questions were based on our personal lives, shall we say? I mean, it started out with things like, tell us about your first kiss. But by the end, it was like, tell us about the first time you went further than making out in detail. So that was one thing I found interesting on the trip. Another thing was something we're supposed to find really moving and important, and I did for sure, and that was the mifgash. I can't pronounce Hebrew. The mifgash is when a group of Israeli soldiers joins our trip for 5 days. So we had 8 soldiers join us, and they were wonderful. But I want to talk about one soldier who I got to know especially well, and I'll actually let him say hi to you guys.
Hi, Internet!
So his name was Ori, and he's a soldier for the Israeli army, and he and I became pretty good friends over the course of the trip. So the day we met the soldiers, we have a whole meeting program where we get to know them a little bit, and then we all go back to our tour bus. Within 10 minutes, Ori is leading us all in Disney sing-alongs. He just gets on the bus and starts going like, the circle of life, and we're all just like, this guy's the best, and we all join in, and the whole bus is having Disney sing-alongs, and he does this the whole 5 days. He just will burst into song, usually Disney songs, other things too, and we'll all join in, and it was great. So he and I quickly became friends, sitting next to each other on the bus and talking, hanging out. But there was one night where we all watched a documentary on a soldier, Michael Levine, who had died fighting in the Israeli army. And it was a very sad documentary, very moving. A lot of people on the bus were tearing up a little bit. But then we all watched the movie on the bus. But then we all got off the bus, and I looked over at Ori, and he was just sobbing. Tears running down his face, clearly very, very distraught from having watched this movie. And I found that moment really touching, I guess, because this is a guy who is so full of life and so full of joy, right? Ori is one of the most joyful people I have ever met, just breaking out into song and making everyone just feel happy around him. And here I see him just sobbing, right? And then an hour later, we're all sitting around at the little bar on the kibbutz, and he brings out this game, Jungle Speed, which was awesome and so much fun. You have to play cards and grab this thing, and it was great. And we all play this game for a few hours, and it was so much fun, and we're all laughing and having a great time. So a few days after the trip, Ori called me at home just to chat and catch up, and I asked if it was okay if I talked about him in my vlog, and he said yes. He told me that the reason he'd been crying was only partly because of Michael Levine. It was also partly because he had a friend who had died, a friend for basic training who was a sergeant, and so the movie reminded him of that. And then he was the one that brought up playing Jungle Speed after, and he asked me if I remembered playing, and I said that I did. And he said that that was important for him, because that is Israeli life. It's really hard, but it's just something you learn to live with. And that was a really moving moment for me, just realizing that that's what his life is here, And that's what lots of people's lives are like everywhere, right? You can be so happy and so full of joy and so enthusiastic about being alive. But you can't escape the things like that. You can't escape the tragedy and the trauma and losing the people that you care about. Yeah, but overall it was an amazing experience, and if you're young and Jewish and eligible, you should go, definitely. Don't miss the opportunity. I am in the old city of Jerusalem right now,